What if finding your purpose isn't about one big answer, but about paying attention to what matters right now? What if the path is the purpose? If you're tired of feeling stuck in life and doubting yourself and want simple steps to stop overthinking, gain clarity, and start living your dream, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Sarah Tyke, a midlife mom, chronic overthinker, and your dream activator. I learned the secret of how to overcome self-doubt and stop overthinking. Take small, practical steps to create the life you dream of. If you're ready to see the possibilities, transform your mindset, and take the first step forward, grab a pen and a journal and meet me in the Dream Lab. Hello, welcome to Reinventing Life After 40. I'm your host, Sarah Tyke, and today we are talking about purpose. This topic is very personal to me because I am still trying to figure it out. One reason I started this podcast was because I am trying to figure out what is my purpose, and my other versions of podcasting, teaching astronomy, did not seem correct, so I did a complete 180, and here I am talking about finding your purpose and reinventing life after 40. So I still question what my purpose is, but I have learned to trust my gut, my feelings, instinct, my body, more than my brain, or analysis, logic, trying to figure things out. And there's a lot of research that has suggested that your body kind of knows what's going on before your brain, and that your brain and your gut are connected. So when you are nervous and that feeling of butterflies in the stomach, that's an actual phenomenon that's happening. And it's something that is connected to your brain. So you have a gut feeling for a reason. And very often when you trust that gut feeling, it turns out to be the right one. Even if looking at it logically or analyzing would give you a different answer, it's usually your gut answer, your gut feeling that is correct. And I've been trying to tune into that more often. So if I feel that something is just heavy or it kind of makes me tense, makes me anxious, I pay attention to those feelings and those bodily cues more than I do like what my brain is telling me, like, you shouldn't feel like this. That logically this shouldn't be a big deal. But it is, because it's making me tense or nervous. So something about whatever the situation is, however it's making me feel, I do have to address that. And I listen to my feelings and my body more than that analytical brain that's telling me that everything is fine. It shouldn't be a problem. So as far as purpose, one thing that I have always been reminded of when I start thinking about what am I supposed to be doing and what is my purpose here is when I was a teaching assistant in graduate school, the students had to do projects, and they were just short, like 10-minute presentations about any topic in astronomy that they wanted to do. And very often they would come to me and ask, what should they do? And I would give them suggestions, but really when it came right down to it, I didn't care what they did. It didn't matter if they were going to talk about planets or the solar system or stars or one specific star or constellations or telescopes. I didn't care. They could do whatever they wanted as long as they did it well and as long as they were thorough. So it just didn't matter. And I had a hard time actually telling people sometimes what to do because I just want to tell them, I don't care what you do. So sometimes I wonder, as far as purpose, does it really matter? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what does it really matter what we're doing here? So what I've also learned in this is that I'm learning to trust God more and more with showing me that path. Kind of like the students look to me for guidance. What am I supposed to do? I am looking to God for guidance as what am I supposed to do? And in Ecclesiastes, Solomon comes to the conclusion that everything is vanity or grasping at the wind. I mean everything. If you've ever read Ecclesiastes, like that's how I think almost every chapter, every verse ends with it being a vanity or grasping in the wind, meaning that nothing really tangible or physical in this world really matters. So in the last chapter, he kind of summarizes everything. This is Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. So what he's saying is that really the whole purpose of everything is for man to serve God. And that's kind of the conclusion that I had come to, was just that really as long as I'm trusting God and trying to follow his path for me, it doesn't really matter what path I'm on as long as it's directed by God, because it will be the right path if it's from him. So if you're completely stuck and just can't find any direction or path at all right now, because you will, but if right now at this moment you can't figure it out, at least start here with Ecclesiastes. Fear God and keep his commandments. And what are his commandments? So we have the Ten Commandments from the Old Testament, but Jesus also tells us in Matthew 22:37 through 39, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So if you have nowhere else to start, you don't know what else to do, at least start there. Start by following those two commandments. Love God, seek him out, pray to him, and love your neighbor as yourself. And I think part of that second commandment that often gets overlooked is to love yourself. So you can't be trash talking yourself. You can't be running yourself down saying, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too stupid, I'm too whatever. Okay, because that's not loving yourself. And Jesus says you are to love your neighbor as yourself. And he didn't mean, well, if you don't love yourself and you're always trash talking yourself, then go ahead and do that to other people. That's not what he meant. He means you should be loving yourself because you are a child of God. And then you can love your neighbor as you love yourself. So don't trash talk yourself. Okay, that's right where Satan's going to want you, running yourself down, because then you'll never move out of that state. You'll be depressed, you'll be discouraged, and you'll never actually do anything, and you'll never get on that path that God has for you. And one of my favorite passages in the Bible is Matthew 10:29 through 31. So please, I'm just going to read it because I can't summarize this any better than it's written. 29 through 31. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin? And not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. So here's Jesus telling people that you have sparrows that are, fairly cheap. You sell 2 for a copper coin. But God knows everything about them. He knows when they live and when they die. God knows exactly how many hairs are on your head. That's how much he cares about you. And he cares about the sparrows enough to watch over them and to know exactly what's going on with them. And Jesus is telling you, don't fear, because you are of more value than many sparrows. So of course God is going to care about you. He cares about the birds. He cares about the flowers in the field. Of course he cares about you. He cares about you more than that. You are of more value than that. So you don't need to fear. You don't need to worry. So, point 1, purpose isn't one fixed thing. So life changes, and you're going to change with it. As you know, if you're in your 40s, you've been through a lot, you've had a lot of experiences, things have changed. So maybe your purpose has changed, especially if you have children that are grown. When you were in your 20s, you had children. Your purpose back then is to make sure that baby, grows up. If they have and they've moved out, well, now your purpose might change again. I mean, they're still your child. You're still going to watch out for them. But they're out of the house. They're on their own. Maybe now your purpose has changed. And that's fine. That is what is supposed to happen in life. Life is supposed to change, and you're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow and evolve. You're not the same person that you were when you were 10 years old or 20 or 30 years old. And that is exactly how it's supposed to go. So your purpose can change and evolve, and that's fine. And if you haven't found it yet, if you're still looking, that's fine too. Because again, you probably had a purpose, something different that you were focused on early in your life, and now things are changing. So now maybe you want a different purpose, or you feel like you need a different purpose. And that is fine. Just let it evolve, kind of let things go the way they're supposed to. Like, you don't have a flower that's trying to bloom in the spring. You don't go and like rip the petals open trying to make it bloom faster. You let it bloom in its own time. You let it open up as it's supposed to, because it will, and you know that. And so will you. Point two, you don't find purpose by thinking alone. It comes from experience and action. So again, you can sit there and you can think about purpose all day long, which I have done, don't worry. I've taken all the tests. I've spent a lot of time with the self-help books and personality tests. And eventually you just have to do something. And I like all those tests. I think they're great tools to use. I learn a lot about myself. When I take a personality test, I'm like, oh, that's what that's called, or it has a category, that's a thing. So I love all those tests. I love all those tools. Go ahead and do them. Go ahead and meditate and pray and think. But at some point, that's not enough. If you really want to get on your path to purpose, you're going to have to move and take action. So you're going to have to try things. You're going to have to just pick a direction and go. You don't have to go all the way to the end of every single path you try, but at least take a first step and just explore things and notice what feels meaningful. Again, listen to your body and your gut. If you try something and you're just like, I don't like it, I don't know why, but I just don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to know why. If you feel like, if your gut's kind of like, I just don't like it, then don't do it. Try something else. Or if you're like, this feels great, this is what I was meant to do, or this feels so easy and I get so energized, I feel alive when I do it. Pay attention to that and then see how you can do more of that thing. I found when I was at work and I'm feeling kind of, just not happy at work, there have been times where someone has come and asked me a question, and then I get to explain something to them, and I can just feel like suddenly I have come back to life because I get to teach something. I get to explain something, and then afterwards when they're like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, for me, that is like my hallelujah right there. I'm like, finally, I got to teach something. Somebody learned something from me. Now they have more knowledge. And it lights up my world. It makes me come alive. And so I've really paid attention to that. There was a very stark example one day when that happened. And I started to think, like, I need to be in a position where I can teach something, anything. And that's why I had gone the route of these podcasts of teaching astronomy. It just, again, I tried that. I tried teaching in this podcasting form, and it just didn't work. Not the way I wanted it to with the lessons, because I wanted to have like actual astronomy lessons like you would learn in a classroom, but just smaller, manageable, easy to understand physics and astronomy. And I tried it, and it did not feel right. So I never actually recorded episodes or did anything with the one version of my podcast. But I still have that feeling of being lit up and coming to life when I'm teaching. So I still have to go down that path somehow. I still have to teach something in some way to someone. So you do have to try things. So again, pay attention when you come across something that makes you feel like you're just energized and like you just want more of it. And then try to find something else that you can do that makes you feel in that same way. Kind of keep going down that path. You'll have these little clues that you'll be looking for throughout the day and weeks here. So try things, explore, and notice what feels meaningful. Again, especially listening to your body and your gut feelings. Point 3, pay attention to what you're drawn to right now. You don't have to always consider things like, well, I've always been into this, or when I was growing up, I liked this, or I went to school for this. So if you're like me, you've changed a lot in your 40 years on this planet, 40 plus. And you've had a lot of interests. So what I was into in my 20s and 30s doesn't really hold true right now. So I'm into different things now. And again, I went to school for physics, astronomy, and geoscience, and I'm not using any of those. I haven't used any of those. I never went into the fields. I still like them as like hobbies or interests, and that's why my podcast was supposed to be about astronomy. But again, that didn't feel right either. So I tried something different, and here I am. And this is what feels right. So you don't have to worry about or keep on the same path if it's something that you've been doing in the past. I think a lot of times we get kind of stuck into That feeling of, well, I should like this or I should be doing this. I was raised to do the family business. Well, maybe you just don't want to do that anymore. And that's fine. So rather than considering what's happened in the past, just think about what you're into right now, right in this moment. Because a lot of times that's where your meaning will start. This might not be your set thing either, even if right now you're, you know, into baking cakes. Well, maybe that's where you want to start as far as trying to make that your goal, or if that's your purpose is to be a baker. Maybe you'll find out that if you try it and actually do it as a full-time job, you won't like it. I had wanted to get into running a coffee shop and like baking, pastries, cakes, muffins, and things like that for the shop. Like that's kind of what my vision was. So I was like, well, could I do this? And I tried. There was a bake sale at work, so I baked, I think, 3 or 4 dozen. They're like little bread loaves, kind of like muffins, but just shaped like little loaves of bread. And it was terrible. The things turned out great. They sold really well. I think I heard it was one of the fastest things to sell out. But the process of doing it was just terrible. I liked doing it on my own, like just making 1 or 2 dozen here or there just for me and my family. But when it came into something that I had to do for a bake sale, it was a deadline. I had to have it all done now. I had to have enough of them to actually be usable. So I had to have a lot. And it was exhausting and I did not like it. And so I could tell right there that baking was not my thing. And having a coffee shop where the pastries were going to be reliant on me to make them was not going to happen. So even just in that small scale of just trying out, could I do this? Kind of like a proof of concept. Could I make this work? No, I couldn't. So I knew then that I could at least not do that part. If I was going to have a coffee shop, pastries were going to have to either be baked by somebody else or bought. So you do have to try things. At the time, I was really set that that's what I was going to do. That's what I wanted, was the coffee shop. It would still be kind of a cool idea, but so I tried it out. So see if there's some way that you can maybe do a small version of your big plan. But pay attention to what you're drawn to now and at least try something in that direction. And then notice the patterns in your interests. If you find that, okay, this thing didn't work, but maybe something similar does. Like I loved crocheting. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try knitting too because they kind of go together. I don't really like knitting that much. I don't mind doing like small washcloths, but in general, I don't like knitting. Love crocheting. So you can kind of notice if there's a pattern to things that you like. Maybe you know, you like painting one type of art or one type of picture, but not another. Or maybe you like, crafting in this one medium, but not this one. And just kind of notice where your interests lie. Notice if there's any patterns. So your homework for this week is to write down what you enjoy. And that would include why. Why do you enjoy that? Does it make you feel peaceful, energized, calm? Are you doing it for somebody else? And that's what brings you joy, is serving somebody else. Write down what you're curious about. Maybe some things that you'd like to learn more about. I've always wanted to, learn a language or learn how to grow a plant of some kind. I want to learn how to sing. I want to learn how to play the piano. Write down some things that you're curious about. And then write down what feels meaningful. What is it that you do now or that you would like to do that when you think about it, it just makes you feel fulfilled? Like it really brings meaning into your life. And then look for patterns among these things, what you enjoy, what you're curious about, and what feels meaningful. See if there's any commonalities or any patterns that you can see. And that would probably be a direction to start as far as finding where your purpose lies. If you can find a pattern among these 3 things, start looking into ways that you can take action in that direction. You don't have to decide anything now. I'm not saying, okay, once you have these things, now you have to decide your purpose today, right now. We're not talking about that. This is just brainstorming. It's just getting ideas out onto paper. I think that's important to write things down. So, our recap. First, purpose isn't one fixed answer. Second, you don't find it by overthinking. It comes through action and experience. Third, Pay attention to what matters to you right now, and that is enough. So this week, as you're going through your homework and just going about your day, consider the question, what am I naturally drawn to right now? All right, guys, that's it. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like it, share it, subscribe to it. Comment if you can somewhere, leave me a review. I'd love to read reviews and comments, and I would really like to know if this is helping you or not. If you do like this episode, please share it with somebody else who might need help with finding their purpose. And if you have any questions, again, please leave comments. You can try emailing me at sarah@theinterestedreader.com. I haven't been very good about checking that email. I've got some other things I'm working on right now, but I do my best to check it at least a couple times during a week. So if you have a question, you can email me there, and it might be a delayed response, but I will get back to you eventually. All right, that's all I got for you. Thank you for listening, and I will see you back here next time. Bye. Hi, friend. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may want to get inspired to start living their dream? Also, please leave a review wherever you're listening. It lights me up to know that this podcast is helping you. Take a step forward today. It doesn't have to be big, but it does have to be done. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Bye.